Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's long-range technical forecast video for Australia, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. This analysis is being provided from a perspective only, and any decision made based upon this presentation is the sole responsibility of the person making the decision. Finally, please remember that all long-range weather forecasting is speculative by nature. Well, I want to start off again by taking a look here at a few things going on around the world, and this is a satellite animation here across parts of North America and the North Atlantic. It's interesting, we actually have two separate tropical cyclones nearby. This one is called Teddy, and the one over here is called Beta. The reason why this is called Beta is we've actually run out of names on our normal name list to name our tropical system, so our contingency plan is to use the Greek alphabet. We were amazed to see this long stretch of clouds that connected these two systems, and it kind of looks like it's giving you some sort of evil smile here. But why I point this out is we've had multiple tropical systems that have gone through and hit our cotton belt pretty hard. Now, speaking about crops that I think are important to be discussing about what's going on in North America, I do want to show you this. This is our latest NASA-derived soil moisture in the top 100 centimeters here. And what I wanted you to see here is where we're growing winter wheat. So this will be an important time of year for us to be planting winter wheat. And a lot of our winter wheat is done right here in what we call our southern plains. We also have some in what's called the mid-Mississippi and lower Mississippi River Valley, and also over here in around the states of Indiana and Ohio. Now, what you see overall is that this particular region in through here is doing better in soil moisture than it is a little bit farther to the north, and then getting here over into what we call our eastern corn belt. But I just wanted you to kind of keep aware of this, what's going on in the United States. And right now there's not much of a story coming out of the U.S. in terms of wheat. Where the stories are for wheat production is going to be international. There was a frost last week near Cordoba, which is right here, and there is quite a bit of wheat that is grown in Argentina. So you can see what we're talking about in terms of the area, really over toward Buenos Aires province. A couple of pictures here of some of the damage from that frost. This is from my good friend Arlen Suderman, who grabbed these pictures here to show us what some of that damage looked like. So I wanted to keep you aware of that. But probably the biggest story in terms of wheat is going to be what's happening here in around the Black Sea. So to get you oriented, here is the Black Sea, and this is a map showing you the last 45 days of precipitation, but the numbers here are in percent of normal. And so as you can see, when we get into this part of Ukraine, getting over into southern Russia, there's a lot of places in here that are sitting between about 0 and 25% of normal on precipitation. So this is delaying the planting of their winter wheat, which means it may have trouble getting to the right stage before it goes dormant and the cold air gets to this area for the upcoming fall and winter time period. So just a few things internationally that I wanted to make sure that you were well aware of. Now, another great website, I just can't remember if I ever shared this with you, but this is one I want you all to check out at some point. It's right down here. Here's the website. Just go to Google and type in Blitzertung. That's German for lightning location. So you remember the nasty storms that went racing across, well, much of the eastern half of the continent here. We went back and just grabbed some of the lightning data from that, and there were several thousand strikes, over 10,000 strikes out of these storms as they went racing across earlier this week. And so it's a great resource just to monitor severe weather, specifically severe thunderstorms producing a lot of lightning. Okay, with that as the intro out of the way, let's go ahead and just take a look here at what we got in terms of precipitation. Now, this comes from BOM, and it shows us how much rainfall we got over the last week. And I want to show you something. The European model has been doing extremely well in its forecasting. You see that map that's over there on the right? I showed you that 2 weeks ago, and it was the forecast for last week, which is what is shown to you over here on the right. And clearly the European model has been picking up on the right kind of patterns to be overall doing a very good job with understanding what's influencing the weather on a 2-week horizon. So with that as the backdrop, I want to add just a little bit more to this discussion by showing you the latest updates of our normalized difference vegetation index. So before we discuss La Nina and the MJO and the upcoming forecast, the map you've been looking at here shows you NDVI. The brighter the colors, the healthier the crop looks from space. The darker, the bluer the colors, the worse it looks from space. And what you've been looking at here is 2019. So this was data from a year ago. Right now, September 23rd, 1 year ago. What I'm going to do is I play this forward to show you what 2020 looks like. So as that went across there, you can now see the difference. If I kind of let this go back and forth, look at the difference, especially in parts of New South Wales, Victoria area, and also parts of South Australia. When I go back to the 2020 data versus the 2019, substantial improvements on this year. But again, over in parts of Western Australia, this is where we have some pockets of drought that are really struggling here, and we're going to have to keep a very close eye on that. Okay, moving into this forecast, what are the major factors? Well, in the near term, the Mad-Julian Oscillation is really kind of backed off and being one of more dominant pieces. It's currently moved out at the end of August and in the beginning of September over into phase 3 and 4, and it's currently forecast to stay just very weakly in phase 4, 5, and 6. Now, those particular phases are right here in this part of the Indian Ocean, getting over to parts of Indonesia and barely into the Pacific. So just remember that 7 and 8 are here, and 1, 2, and 3 are back over toward Africa. So what this means is that that's going to generally put subsidence in the atmosphere here and also in the atmosphere over in this area. And that isn't exactly the best phase for getting a lot of additional precipitation in Australia. We really want it to be over there and staying in phases, 2, 3, and 4, for example. So that's the first piece to this. The second piece is going to be what's going on with our La Nina. Some of the newest forecast data, now this comes from something called the National Multimodal Ensemble. It has a pretty wide envelope over where we're expecting these values to be for the Central Pacific, but this dashed line represents right in through here the ensemble average, which means through early, next year, like January, February, we're expecting the ocean temperatures to be down here around -1 degree Celsius in the middle of the Pacific. And that just tells me that this La Nina, which has been developing quite in a robust way here, is around for the longer haul. Let me give you some of the latest statistics on this. The current number right now there in Nina region 3.4, which is inside of this box I'm drawing right here, is now down to a full degree Celsius below normal. So this is a robust La Nina. And if you look up here at this embedded figure, now this is an important figure to understand because what it shows us in that blue and green color is where the atmosphere has really lost a lot of momentum. And the only reason why it would do that is if there were strong trade winds, and there have been. In fact, if I go back to this, I'll just tell you, the trade winds in this area have been anomalously strong now for about a month. You can actually see that when you look at the Southern Oscillation Index, which is currently sitting right here at a value of 9. Remember, to be above 7, which is there, that is where we consider our atmosphere to be in a base La Nina state. I don't see anything in the near-term forecast, not just the near term, but for the next few months, taking this out. And as a result, most of our long-range weather forecasts will be dominated by La Nina, and that's been a point we've been carrying for a while in our forecasts. Now, to get into where we need to go in this forecast, I want to just fast forward to Friday, because what we notice by the time we get to Friday is look at our jet stream level winds. We see that they are going right here across the middle part of the continent, and we do see that just to the south, a highly amplified pattern, but we're going to have plenty of stronger winds aloft that are going to be supportive of the weather systems I'm about to show you. But what I'd like to do is fast forward from here out to day 10. And at that particular point, you notice that the jet stream is doing something a bit more like this, with an area right in through here of much slower winds. This is reflective of what the southern annular mode or the Antarctic oscillation is doing as it's dropping off here as we work our way toward the 1st of October. It is forecast to recover after that, as you can see here, but in the meantime, this is going to mean a switch in the position of our jet stream, which has been illustrated here out to day 10, which is on October the 3rd. So let's see what that means in terms of our precipitation patterns, okay? Going to go straight to the high-resolution European model. This is the best in the business here. And as we play this forward, let's just take a look at how things are going to evolve. Now, stepping you back, and let's walk through a little bit slower. As we get through the day on Thursday, we do see that low that's down there over parts of Victoria, spreading rain initially here through parts of near Adelaide and South Australia, then cutting into New South Wales as well as we go through the day on Thursday and into Friday. And that precipitation is going to hang around there until higher pressure builds in over the weekend, as you can see here. Meanwhile, if I just come back here to the end of the week, we do see another low pressure system Friday into Saturday that's going to cut just off of the southern coast here of Western Australia, bringing in some light rainfall into this area. And again, that carries us through Saturday and then into our weekend. So where are we here? We're now into Sunday and Monday. Now at this point, we're going to have to watch very carefully early next week for the potential for some heavier precipitation move through parts of South Australia. As you can see, it's really targeting the bay here right over Adelaide, possibly Monday, Tuesday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday time frame. But it's after this time period that the jet stream really shifts in its configuration, such that as that low pushes through parts of New South Wales and Victoria, we go drier after that. Higher pressure tends to build into this section of Australia as we move out into the longer term here, October 1st. October 2nd, and October 3rd. So if we're not getting the precipitation we need in the next 8 days, the following probably week or so looks to be drier in this area as well. Let's put it all together here and just look at the operational European model, looking at total precipitation in millimeters out through the next 10 days. So as you can see here, there are a few places, for example, right in through here and then stretching to this part of Victoria, butting up against the mountains here, but still spreading in this area anywhere between 15 to 30 plus millimeters of rainfall. Also, when you come over to this kind of southern tip here of Western Australia, we can see those precip amounts adding up there as well. But I think it's always instructive to look at a map like this and compare it to normal. So when we see that, we do get a wet bias in through this area with those two systems that are rolling through over the next 10 days. Okay. From there, I would like to show you what what BOM is forecasting as well. So this is their map, which takes us out to October 1st. So again, feel free to pause the video and take a look at their forecast here. But it is actually quite consistent with what the European model is suggesting at this point. From there, let's look at week 2, and I want to compare a couple of different modeling sources. The European, which has been performing very well, is shown over here on the right, and the GFS model is shown over here on the left. That's also a great model that we run here in North America. You can see that in week 2, both models are favoring parts of Western Australia showing up wet, and you can also see a corridor right in through here that's got a bit of a wet bias in both models. But they got this pattern down quite well as to where they're expecting things to be on the drier side. So interesting week 2 pattern, and it's going to be watching the shift in the westerlies to understand what this pattern is going to set up like. So I'm looking forward to giving you that update in early October. And by the way, once we get into early October, I'll have brand new long-range weather update for you as well, because all of our modeling centers release their long-range updates within the first week of the new month. So talking temperatures, we expect that over the next 5 days, this to be our temperature pattern. So, possibly up to 4 to 5, maybe 6 degrees Celsius below average as we watch those next few weather systems roll in here into this section of Australia. But a rebound in the day 5 through day 10 forecast, as you can see here in temperatures. But looking out longer term, we remember that we're going over drier with a lot higher pressure into the 10 to 15 day time period in this section of Australia, and possibly cooler over here in Western Australia. So that's our general temperature pattern. And really what I like to do in this is just give you the general idea about what the temperatures are going to be doing. So let's finish this up by looking longer term. First of all, the outlook for the month of October, when looking at the chance of exceeding median rainfall, it's been quite consistent as I look back over the most recent forecast from BOM for the month of October. And here it is once again. Does this line up well with our global models? Well, let's take a look first at the brand new release of the European weeklies. So this is some brand new data here. We once again do see that the European model for much of the continent here is favoring near average to above average precipitation. And I have to comment that this is very much a signal that's dominated by La Nina. That's what we're seeing here. We know that the Indian Ocean dipole is floating around in neutral territory, so this is very much dominated by La Nina. And the last thing I'd like to show you here, just looking longer term for October, November, December, as this La Nina continues to develop, which we've talked about in the last couple of videos, notice that all of our major modeling centers, which are kind of summarized here in this IRI multi-model forecast, continue to paint much of the continent here with wetter than average conditions. So it'll be critical to see how this La Nina develops as we press through the next few months here, but our modeling centers are certainly allowing it to be the more dominant feature. So I look forward to talking again in another couple of weeks, giving you that brand new long-range outlook data. I always look forward to getting that at the beginning of the month. Until then, you got questions, you can put them in the comments here. I always check them, or you can also email me at eric.snodgrass@nutrien.com. We'll get them answered for you, okay? Appreciate your time as always. Have a good one. Thank you.